between my old elementary school and my old high school, like on my way to my parents' house. And I remember seeing like a hubcap, like it was that was terrifying.
Could be if not terrible.
Yeah, awful. Awful.
And that's what, like, I told my mother, it's like she needs to, like, get a lot of help now, or it's gonna kill her.
Yeah,
It's
for
like,
sure.
she's 83. Yeah, and they've lived in the same house for 50 years, and they're still there.
Yeah, you were on Gravel, weren't you?
Near 41st and Gravel, yeah.
You knew Jody McGill.
Yeah,
Jody, you guys got
not
the
well.
little flower.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe
that's-
you're a couple years ahead of her.
She might be older. I don't know, whatever.
She's actually I still have her. She's still 3 So she got so she connected. She connected me. Hello.
Morning, everybody. Steve Addison, ADD, ISON. I'm a sergeant in the Media Relations Unit here at the Vancouver Police Department. Thanks for coming down. We got a few things to discuss with you today. The first thing I'm going to talk to you about is a public notification that we're issuing about a high-risk offender who's being released. I understand you have some questions in regards to a serious pedestrian collision that occurred over the weekend. When I'm done, Sergeant Rode is going to provide an update on an arrest that was made over the weekend regarding an arson at Emily Carr University. So first, I'll begin with the public notification with regards to Trevor Smith, who also goes by the surname of Landry or Williams. Mr. Smith is being released from custody today, and he plans to live in Vancouver. The Correctional Service of Canada, as well as the Vancouver Police, have assessed Mr. Smith as a high risk for relationship violence, as well as sexual violence, particularly against children, and we believe that circumstances exist to warrant a public notification of his release. Mr. Smith was previously convicted of a number of offenses, including sexual assault, possession of child pornography, assault causing bodily harm, and breach of recognizance. I'm going to hold up a picture. Mr. Smith is a Caucasian male. He's approximately 5'10", 170 pounds. He has gray hair and blue eyes. He sometimes wears a beard. I believe he's currently clean shaven. Mr. Smith was subject of similar public warning in 2017 when he was released from custody, as well as the VPD advisory in earlier in 2019 when he was taken back into custody as a result of breaching the conditions of that previous release. He's currently released on a probation order which lasts for 2 years, and there are a number of conditions that are attached to that probation order. I've attached all of the conditions in the news release. I'll just go through a few of the bullet points here. He's to reside at a residence that's approved by his probation officer. He is to advise his probation officer of any relationships or friendships he has with females. He is not to consume alcohol or drugs. He is to have no direct or indirect contact with anybody under the age of 17, and he's not to go to any place where a person under I may have misspoke there. He's to have no direct or indirect contact with a person under 16, and he's not to attend any place where a person under 16 is reasonably expected to be. So this includes places like swimming pools, parks, playgrounds, rec centers, skating rinks. In addition to that, he's not to possess computer equipment or access the internet without his probation officer's permission, and he's not to possess any data encryption or electronic storage devices or computer software without permission. Mr. Smith will be monitored during his release by investigators in the Vancouver Police Department's High-Risk Offenders Unit. The High-Risk Offenders Unit is a team of VPD officers, and their primary job is to monitor high-risk offenders who are released into the community, to meet with them regularly, and to make sure that they are abiding by their conditions. We hope that Mr. Smith is going to abide by these conditions, and we request that anybody in the community who has any information about him breaching the conditions, call 911 immediately so that we can investigate. there any questions in regards to that?
So for somebody like this, that last time he was released, there were already issues, you know, is there anything that you can say to the parole board, you know, not here, you know, because clearly this has happened before where you had to rearrest him. Is there anything that you can say to perhaps redirect him to another city so that if there are issues in Vancouver, for example, he's not, there's not a higher risk of that happening again here?
So Mr. Smith has indicated the intention to live in Vancouver. I'm not here to be alarmist or to strike fear in the community. Our job is to protect the public, which is why we're issuing this public notification. Mr. Smith does pose a risk for relationship violence, sexual violence, particularly against children. There are a number of conditions that are in place to protect the public while he is in the community, and we hope that he abides by those conditions. Anybody who has any information about him breaching the conditions should call 911 immediately.
But you haven't said, please don't bring him here or taken any steps to avoid him coming back to Vancouver?
No, that's not our role. Okay. Any other questions on other topics? I can talk about the accident from the.
So what can you tell us in terms of the incident from, I guess it was early Saturday morning, overnight?